bone density in space, but more experiments need to be carried out to see whether the new bone which is formed in space has the same structure and strength as new bone which is formed on Earth. Understanding bone loss associated with microgravity may lead to better preventive care or therapeutic treatments for people on Earth suffering bone loss as a result of bone diseases like osteopenia and osteoporosis, or for patients on prolonged bed rest.
One of the things I love about the field of nutrition, one of the things that really drew me into the field of nutrition as a graduate student, was the fact that nutrition really is a cross-cutting science, and the fact that we get to look at all the systems and nutrition in and of itself. So doing bone studies and muscle studies and vision studies and cardiovascular studies really helps to branch out and to work with other groups and see the integration within the human being, and not just focused on a specific enzyme in a specific tissue in a petri dish in a lab somewhere in a basement. One of the great things about nutrition research on Space Station is that Space Station is a great platform and that it allows us to study very healthy individuals in a very strange environment, in a very unique environment that the body is trying to adapt to. And what that does, that allows us to understand how the body responds to these changes, and in many ways that reflects disease patterns or altered physiology, if you will, on Earth. So bone is a great example where when an astronaut is put into spaceflight, the body starts to break down bone because the body realizes it doesn't need the same skeleton in weightlessness as it did on Earth. And by looking at that adaptation and how to counteract that adaptation, that tells us about how the body responds to these different changes. So we see roughly the same change in bone in about 6 months on a space station mission as you would see in a much longer period, 4 or 5 years. So it's almost like time-lapse photography where we can see a much faster glimpse of what's going on. We can study countermeasures much more quickly. And again, the implications of those studies for people studying those same phenomena on Earth really helps to leapfrog some of the technology ahead. Hi, my name is Scott Smith. I'm the lead for the Nutritional Biochemistry Lab at the Johnson Space Center, and we're studying nutrition off the Earth for the Earth.
In space and on Earth, our bodies require proper nutrition. Defining the nutrient requirements for spaceflight and ensuring provision and intake of those nutrients are primary issues for astronaut health and mission success. After all, you are what you eat. One challenge is providing appetizing food for astronauts that doesn't require refrigeration and has a long shelf life. While the food is generally much better than you might imagine, and we have come a long way since the early days of spaceflight, we do have limited access to fresh foods. In our next segment, we'll go inside NASA's Space Food Systems Laboratory, as seen in the National Geographic Space Station Live program.
Eating in space is its own kind of fun. But keeping astronauts fit and healthy is a serious business. Michelle Clinch is responsible for what they eat.
We're making spaghetti with meat sauce.
Space meals begin just like ours do, with a trip to the supermarket.
Thank you.
But the similarities stop there. Spaghetti and meat sauce is just one of the 250 things on the space station menu. Each portion is meticulously calibrated.
We have a database where we maintain the nutritional content of all our products, calories, fat, protein, carbohydrate, things like that.
But the most important calculation is what things weigh. That's because it costs $10,000 for every pound blasted off to the astronauts. So NASA adopted a reduction technique, also used by the military.
Freeze drying removes a high percentage of the moisture, so typically when we freeze dry our products, we take them down to about 3%.
Each portion now weighs just 1 ounce. Cost to transport, $660. 1,300 miles away, and the Orbital Cygnus resupply module is being loaded with the freeze-dried food. And it's time for a few last-minute food luxuries.
These are the tortillas. They're very popular on Orbit.
After a daily routine of freeze-dried meals, a fresh piece of fruit is a welcome relief, well worth its weight in gold.
As you can see, we're only sending 3 apples, so you may think that's